Hello everybody! Welcome to my super epic awesome theory about abstraction in the amazing digital circus. And this is why I am correct, factually correct. I am not wrong at all. So I'm making this theory video because I've seen two other theory videos and none of them were about abstraction. But I came up with my own theory about abstraction, and I don't know if anyone else has made this theory before, but I'm gonna make it now so I can brag to my friends when it actually turns out to be true. So, let's get into it. What do we already know about abstraction? Well, thank you to Ragatha. According to her whole monologue, let me play it right now.
Well, we usually do when we first arrive, but after a while you start to realize that you really can't leave, and constantly chasing an unattainable goal will start driving you a bit crazy. And eventually you get to asking what the point of anything is, and you completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive, and when you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen.
Thank you, Ragatha. Very good insight. So, as you can see, something really terrible can happen when you reach your breaking point after losing sight of who you are. And this is very clearly referring to the abstraction. Specifically, in this clip, we see it's referring to Kaufmo. Let me play this clip.
That's okay.
What is that?
It might be that terrible thing I was talking about earlier when you reach your breaking point.
So yes, very clearly, this clip, no, without a doubt, Ragatha was referring to abstraction with her whole monologue.
Well...
Stop. Google Slide, why are you like this? Why is Google Slide like this? Oh my god. And also, according to Gooseworks, on Tumblr, Gooseworks is the show's creator, so obviously, very, very credible source right here. Abstraction, as you can see, just... abstraction cannot be undone. It's very, very bluntly stated there. And also up here, all abstracted people look the same. So those are also some things to take into account. They are not stated in the show, but as I said before, Gooseworks is very credible, and we can trust her, probably. So the point is, abstraction happens when you forget yourself, and at some point, if you're so deep into that, you're no longer yourself, but you're the abstraction monster that we see in Kaufmo's room. But how do we get to this point? How do we go from a mental spiral to a murderous, monster-like entity? Well, that's where my theory comes in. My theory is that when you enter the digital plane, the computer program it runs on scans your consciousness. However, probably due to some ethical or hardware reasons, like, it's not ethical to copy someone's whole entire brain onto a computer, or it's totally fine to do that, but the computer just can't handle it. So it can't make a real copy of your mind. So instead, it just takes data from your mind and it creates your avatar and everything based on that. So you yourself are in charge of keeping your mind on there and steady, so that the computer can continue to pull data from it. But if you forget who you are, if you forget yourself, you can no longer perceive yourself, then the computer program cannot perceive you either. So it can't take data from it, which means that it basically deletes you. And you can't have this. You can't just have a deleted avatar. So it puts in a placeholder avatar to replace the deleted one that came about. But unfortunately, this placeholder is not very stable, clearly. It's pretty glitched. It's the abstraction monster, you see. Lots of eyes, very dark black void. Looks like a giraffe. Some weird dog thing. But it's very glitchy, and also it just wants to kill everything for some reason. I'm not sure why. But what does happen to you? So what does happen to you when you do abstract, your mind and everything? I don't know, but as far as I'm concerned, you're just dead at that point. You no longer exist according to the computer, so you no longer exist in the digital plane. I don't know if you just, go back to reality or whatever after that, but, That's what I think. That's my theory. When you abstract, you're dead. You're digitally dead. There's no coming back from digital death. But wait, you say, how do you know this is specifically how it works? Well, my evidence comes from 5 main sources. It's also inspired by Finn the Pony's Kinger theory and Film Theory's theory about the whole show. I forgot what I took from Film Theory's theory, but I know from Kinger's theory I did take the whole, like, the game is very glitchy and definitely not play tested. So, yeah, those are, like, the only 2 theories I watch, by the way. Anyway, these next slides will show my proof, my evidence that I am correct. Source 1, Ragatha's monologue. I love it. It is the godsend of this whole presentation. But anyway, she gives the greatest insight on how abstraction works. If you remember, she literally says it happens when you lose sight of yourself. I mean, paraphrasing a little bit there, but that's essentially what she says. And this makes sense because if you can't see yourself, you don't know who you are anymore. The computer can't know who you are either because it doesn't copy your data. So it just deletes you. Source 2, Kane. Now, Kane, he says that he cannot control the minds of the humans who enter the digital world. Now, notice here how when he's told that Kaufmo abstracted, he brings in the abstraction monster, but he doesn't delete it. He doesn't destroy it. Instead, he puts it into the cellar. And the cellar is filled with other abstractions, clearly. So this gives me the impression that perhaps this placeholder has some data from an actual human consciousness, or at least it's registered as one in the code. So Kane can't really delete it or do anything with it because he can't control the minds. So, gotta put him in the cellar. Source 3, Kinger. So, Kinger over here, he mentions an insect collection throughout the pilot. Now, what's another word for an insect? A bug. Now, what's a bug when you're referring to programming? Basically a glitch. And what have we established to be glitchy? The abstraction monster. So that's where I get my phrasing with it's probably very glitchy. Because Kinger just keeps talking about insect collections. Honestly, this point's kind of weird and loose because how would Kinger even sense that Kaufmo abstracted throughout the entire... Because we can assume that the abstraction monster has been inside of Kaufmo's room the entire episode. So I guess Kinger somehow sensed that it was there. But I don't know how he would sense that. Kinger's just like that, maybe. I don't know. It's a little bit of a loose point, but it's still a point. So, that is all I gotta say for that. Source 4. Goose hijacks Can I Kiss You works.
Give us a bubble impression.
Say something to Jax. Say something to Jax real quick.
And Jax reply.
Yeah.
Hi, Jax. Can I kiss you?
Ew. Lay it on me.
So, clearly, on Gooseworks' Tumblr, as I mentioned before, abstraction is said to be unable to be undone. So this makes sense in the context of my theory, since when your mind is gone from the computer, that data is just never there ever again. So, can't be undone. Can't bring back the mind, really. Unless you somehow get out of the game, but I don't think they can do that. And then also, the point, she confirms that all abstractions have the same design. This also makes sense if if when the computer replaces you, it uses the same glitchy placeholder. And, I would also like to say that maybe this placeholder is just a thing that happens, like it was there for if you left the program, but I'm guessing it just wasn't play tested, and it's super glitchy, and somehow is murderous. Don't ask how.
Give us a bubble impression.
Say something to Jax.
Source 5. Google. Google agrees with me. Okay, so, according to the Google Dictionary, which comes from Oxford Languages, abstract means, okay, that definition right here. It says existing in thought or as an idea, but not having a physical or concrete existence. And that makes sense. Because when you abstract, according to my theory, You no longer have a body inside of the game. Of course, other game members and AIs can still remember your existence, like, because if they didn't remember, if you were just completely wiped from the game's memory entirely and from everyone else's memory entirely, then how would Ragatha keep bringing up cough mode throughout the entire episode? But of course you're still dead, so you exist as an idea in everyone's mind, but you don't have a real existence in the game anymore because the computer specifically does not remember you exist. So, in conclusion, abstraction happens when you forget who you are. This is because your mind effectively becomes non-existent to the computer and causes it to delete you from the digital world and replace you with a glitchy abstraction monster. The show, Gooseworks' Tumblr, and the literal Google Dictionary back up this theory. And final closing words, I hate Jax, I love Ragatha, please like and subscribe. And here are my sources. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.